Right, everyone, we're going to get started. Thank you all for joining. My name is Stephanie Shapiro. I'm the Managing Director of Environment and Culture Partners, and we are the team along with Green Design Collaborative that helps administer this program with the Helen Frankenthaler Foundation. We've got a lot of information for you, so we're just going to jump in. Just to let you know, this session will be recorded and we will be posting it on the Frankenthaler Climate Initiative website along with the slides. So we're going to start with just a little bit of background on the program, but I would encourage all of you to refer to the recording and slides from the first information session that we held in November. Frankenthaler Climate Initiative was established in 2021, and it remains the foremost private national grant-making initiative in the United States dedicated to climate change action within the visual arts sector. Our team is made up, again, of folks from the Helen Frankenthaler Foundation, as well as Environment and Culture Partners, and the Green Design Collaborative. All of the resources related to this grant cycle and the entire history are all on the Frankenthaler Climate Initiative website. So you can find all of the items that you need, and that is where the recording and slides will be posted later this week. Timeline-wise, this is where we are. The application portal did open last week, and the two deadlines that you need to keep in mind are Friday, February 27th. That is the deadline for application drafts, which are required for implementation grants and optional for catalyst scoping and technical assistance grants. All applications that we receive before the state, we will treat as a draft and provide feedback. The final applications are due on Friday, March 27th at 5 p.m. Eastern. This is a non-negotiable deadline. All applications are due at this time. And if you are applying for implementation, like I said, you have to submit a draft. And if you do not submit a draft before the February deadline, you will not be able to apply or be considered for an implementation grant. Eligible organizations are those that are located in the United States and its territories and have visual arts as the primary activity and mission of the organization. You must be able to demonstrate this. This is some of the initial questions in the application. And if you are applying as a group with other organizations, you just need to establish one applicant. If you are a previous FCI grantee, you need to have not received 3 grants before. You must be in good reporting standing. And if you are applying again, you have to apply for basically, if it's the same type of project, it has to be a different grant type, or it can be the same grant type that you previously applied for, but it has to be a different project. I'm going to make a quick announcement that we will be sharing by email later today or tomorrow to our previous FCI grantees. We are still doing our transition from Flux to submittable. And we appreciate your patience as we are doing this migration. And we are not going to be making that January 30th deadline for you to be using submittable to submit your reports. However, we know some of you are ready to do that. And so we are going to be emailing you instructions on how to do that again later this week. For those of you who do not have, a report due for a little bit, we are going to be communicating that updated timeline with you when we have it. And again, we really appreciate your patience as we've been migrating to the new platform. So for eligible projects they are required to either generate clean energy or increase your energy efficiency. And we are prioritizing any that align with your organization's strategy or board-defined commitment to sustainability. We're also prioritizing again this year projects that are moving off of fossil fuels. So if you have additional questions or need more detail on eligibility of your organization or projects, please visit the FCI website as well as refer to that first session, information session. We go into detail on both of these items. And again, we have our 4 grant categories: catalyst, scoping, technical assistance, and implementation. Catalyst is only for organizations with an annual operating budget of $500,000 or below. And this is for you to complete a standalone limited component project. So this is for you to just get started. This is for you to just go out and, buy insulation, replace window, whatever that might be. Scoping is for you to get started as well, but with an assessment. So typically we're going to see our ASHRAE level 2 energy audits or maybe a mechanical engineering and plumbing audit. But this is for you to really get started. Technical assistance grants are those that are going into a specific assessment that you've already done an energy audit or had an initial kind of test or assessment done, and this is for you to dig into something maybe from a recommendation. So maybe that's solar feasibility, maybe that's geothermal, maybe that's looking further into one of the EEMs that was recommended by the energy audit. And implementation grants are for you to get started. So this is like actually buying materials, buying, the solar panels, buying the new chiller or buying the new building automation system. So those are, the four categories. Your grant application must fit into one of them, and you can only submit one application for the year. So choose the one that the best fits with the work that you're doing and write your application according to that. If you feel like for some reason you're kind of on the line and need some help, you are always welcome to reach out to the FCI team and ask for our thoughts. So I'm now going to hand it over to Al, who is going to help us walk through how to apply using our new system and a few other guidelines. So Al?
Thank you. Um, so yeah, because we're using a new platform, Submittable, it's seemed appropriate to walk you through how to get to the application. So start from our website, the www.frankenthaler climateinitiative.org / how to apply, or if you land on the main page, you can click how to apply in the top bar. And that gets you to a page that looks like this, and then simply just click the apply button. And that will take you then to the submittable page. So when you land on the submittable page, it has the Helen Frankenthaler Foundation at the top, so you know you're in the right place, and the Frankenthaler Climate Initiative 2026, so you know it's the right grant opportunity, and then just a statement that says we use submittable, and then click the submit button, and that then routes you to the login. If you already have a submittable account, you can just put in your email address and click continue. If you don't have a submittable account, click the sign up button. And from there, you go into the create account and put in your information. Once you put in your information, it'll ask you for a password, of course. Click continue. And then it wants to do a verification of your email. So click the send verification code in your email that you've listed when you created your account. Check that email. It will send you a code and then put that code in where you're prompted to do so. And once you do that, you're in. You've made it to the application. Congratulations. So the first thing you want to do once you're in the application is you'll need to put in your organization name or your EIN. If you're applying under a fiscal sponsor, put in the name of the fiscal sponsor or the EIN of the fiscal sponsor. From there, you'll click Search Organization, and your organization will come up here below. And then you just click this Select and Continue button. Once you've done that, you're into the application proper. The application starts with an eligibility review. And so you'll want to fill out the eligibility review form and make sure that, if your application or your organization name is here at the top, or that if you're applying under a fiscal sponsor, that name is on top. From there, once you've gone through the eligibility, if you are eligible, it moves you on to the application proper. if when you answer the eligibility questions, if you're not eligible, it sends you a message saying so. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Once we're in the application proper, if you're applying under a fiscal sponsor, you click the Yes button. And you'll want to put there your organization's legal name. For example, if you are a unit within a university, you'll want to put in the university's name as your fiscal sponsor under organization legal name. And under submitting organization name, that's where you put in your unit name. For example, you're the University Art Museum. If you're not applying under a fiscal sponsor, just click no, and your organizational legal name and your submitting organization name will be the same. Thanks. Okay, so now we are going to do an overview and some suggestions of how to write a successful proposal. The application has 12 sections. The first three sections um, are not part of the review or not evaluated. It's information gathering. Sections, so that those are sections 1 through 3. Section 1 is just applicant contact information. Section 2 asks for information about your organization. And section 3 asks for basic project information like the grant category that you're applying to, amount requested, start and end dates, project title. Section 3 also asks for a project statement. This is a short 100-word statement that summarizes your project. In the application, the application itself, in that section, it gives you a sentence format to follow. So it's pretty straightforward. And then sections 4 through 12 are the sections that are evaluated by the grant reviewers. The evaluation criteria is on our website, so go ahead and check that out so you have a better understanding of what the questions are. Um, but the way that the each question is reviewed is on this numerical scale, and each question has a number of criteria, like 3 to 5 criteria statements, and then we use these statements for rating. And again, if you want to see the full evaluation criteria, those are on our website. The key is to provide details and sufficient details that the reviewers are left with no unanswered questions. So that we can say 5, outstanding. We can enthusiastically say yes to all of the review criteria statements. So something new this year is all of the forms that are required for the application are in a single downloadable workbook. You can access the workbook in the application. There is a link that takes you to the workbook. And when that opens up, there's instructions on how to save the workbook within this sort of first start here page, as well as how to upload the completed form into Submittable when you're finished. There are color-coded tabs for each form that needs to be completed for the application. Um, there are 4 forms for implementation. Implementation requires this energy use form. And there's 3 forms for all the other levels of application, which include the work plan, project team, and summary budget. All of these forms need to be filled out and completed, and the full workbook needs to be uploaded to Submittable to complete the application. If any of these forms are not complete, or if this completed document isn't uploaded into Submittable, then the application will be incomplete and will be deemed ineligible. If you have any questions as you work through this workbook and work through these different forms, please contact us because we are more than happy to help. So section four is the first section that is evaluated, and there's only one question, section four, which is describe how you see the project's relevance to the visual arts and or higher education. Um, for more information on this topic, you can refer back to session one, which goes over the eligibility guidelines. But it's in a nutshell, your organization and the mission and programs of your organization must be centered in the arts, and the project itself must be art-centric as well, whether it is the location of the project is impacted or the audience is impacted in some way. Um, so again, if you have any questions about that, would like more information, you can go to our information session one, or feel free to contact us. And I believe we are over to Victor now.
Thanks, Al. So the heart of this, uh, let me see, can I get my video to go on? Uh, so I don't know if I can't see my video, but I don't know if you can see me.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, good. Thanks. Uh, the heart of this is really, the technical project itself, right? We are interested in making sure in a somewhat competitive way that we are selecting the projects that are going to have the most impact. So this is really, we want to have a description of it that's clear and well understood, but the project itself should also have impact. So um, first and foremost, focusing on energy efficiency or clean energy generation, basically reducing the amount of greenhouse gases that are produced by the uh, visual arts facility. Um, this second one about solving an identified problem is really critical. We want to know that there's an issue that this is addressing. And, to do that well, you have to be able to describe it before you can solve it. So that's critical. We want to make sure it's a good design project, that you understand what needs to be done. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's kind of the right project for this particular place. And it's going to be different, obviously, for different institutions. So some places, lighting might be the biggest issue. In other places, it's heat loss. So we want to make sure that for the particular institution and the kinds of collections it has, uh, are ones which we are addressing in a way that's appropriate. Um, and we don't want to just go in there and have, a single solution. We want to make sure that it's been carefully considered and we've done kind of the due diligence to understand that this is going to be the most effective way of doing it. So in short, we're really looking at a design of a project that is going to be successful. It's going to have the impact we want, and it's, shows that you are cognizant of what the issues are and how to address them well. We also are really interested in ensuring that what happens here is something that doesn't just, help this project, but also has the potential as an illustration of how this can be have a broader impact. So we want to be able to see that it's clear, measurable, climate friendly, um, moves towards, eliminating fossil fuels on site. If you can completely reduce the use of fossil fuels on site, that's terrific. But if you're moving towards that, that's really what we want to see. And when you have a choice of solutions, for example, you could use an insulation, which is a bio-based, low-embodied carbon product, or you can use something which is a petroleum insulation. We want to see that you understand that it's not only the end result, but also the process of going through it, which is going to choose the most climate-friendly approach with the least impact. So if you can describe that well, that's really what we want to see happen. And I'll turn it over to Sarah, talk about Energy Star.
Thanks, Victor. Hello, everybody. So if you're going to be applying for implementation funds, one of the most important ways that we're going to be able to document a project's impact is through the energy use reductions. So this is both energy type of use and greenhouse gas reduction. Easiest way to do that is using Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Many of you already know it. It's a free online resource for documenting your energy use, recording it over time, and seeing changes over time. Many museums and other building types already use this as a way to record and manage their energy use. And if you're awarded an implementation grant, we're going to ask you to set up an account and to provide your energy use data. It's one of the ways you're going to report. By filling this account information and baseline data out using December 31 records, so all of 2025, you're going to have the baseline information you need for completing the form that Al showed you in the workbook, and you'll have a head start on reporting. So let's have a look at what that workbook is like. So in the workbook, you're going to find yourself, if you're doing an implementation grant, asked to fill out this section on current energy use and the anticipated changes brought by the project. This is as important as the text questions because it gives us the math that demonstrates the understanding of your building's current energy use and the anticipated changes. Now, we get that maybe not everyone in the room is used to doing a grant application this way or used to using this energy data. So this is where we expect that the development officers, the grant writers, the accountant perhaps who has the energy bills, and the facilities managers might have to do a little conversation in order to get the right information into the right place. So this is a form you might want to do early, sort of like you do the budget early, you do the energy budget early, and it helps inform the text for what you're writing in the question and answer part. When you see this is another piece of that page. You're going to see the green boxes. That's the place where you do the writing. The form will calculate the change over time if you put in the project's projected change and your baseline energy. It'll give you the percent. Your projected change due to the project will come from your professional advisors who are telling you about what the work is that's going to be done and their estimates for what those changes are. Those estimates for those changes are how we evaluate the relative impact of the project that you're doing. You might want to complete this chart early on, as I said, and if you have any questions, please let us know. We're happy to hop on a screen and look at maybe the forms that you already have and help you understand where to put that information. And now I'm just going to hand it to Stephanie to talk about Section 6.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. And just want to reinforce that we also do have some sample applications up on the website. And we know even with this form and the whole application workbook and just going through the application, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are happy to help. So I'm going to move into section 6, which is the project plan and feasibility section. And so we really want to know, what the activities are that you're doing, when you're doing them, and if they make sense in the order that you're presenting them. We are looking for this to be really clear. We want your plan to be as complex as your project is. So if you're frankly having an energy audit, we expect there to just be maybe, a phase of, maybe you're getting some cost estimates, you secure, your provider, you get the report, and then you decide what to do next. Versus if you're doing, you're building a new building or doing a really detailed retrofit, we're really trying to scale everything in this entire application to the complexity of your project. We also want to make sure, that the project plan is feasible, and it makes sense in the amount of time that you're allocating for your project. So we'll be having you fill out the form, part of the application workbook here. You're able to rename the phases. We're looking again really high level for your activities and milestones and the times that you're looking to complete them, and then what the work is going to be required to prepare for or deliver that activity or milestone. We understand that you might be, submitting a project that is part of a much bigger project. And if that has, a really big timeline and project plan, if you want to attach that as an attachment for us to see how this part fits into that, that is completely fine. But again, we're really looking for this to be clear and concise and, high level, just really focusing on those milestones and the order of events. And talking about that, really thinking about the need and alignment. And so we're looking, as well in a few questions about, understanding that you understand that this isn't just deferred maintenance and the relationship between doing these energy savings and, energy reduction work and making the choice that is the most climate friendly to, how that's related to the sustainability of your institution. We really want to be moving the needle with your organization's climate journey and moving that forward. And I also just want to note that in a lot of cases, we understand that your energy might increase, right? You might be taking a building or a room that was previously not online and putting it online. And so we want to hear that. We understand that it's not just about, making those energy saving or reduction choices, but that, we understand that there's other context to the work and decisions that you're making. For implementation projects, we're also looking that, this is part of your overall strategy. We want to know if you have a climate action plan, if you have a energy master plan that this links into, if possible, if it aligns with any of your local climate priorities, or maybe it's to align with some emerging codes, or we know like in New York, Local Law 97. And we do ask how you're considering waste from your project. And we want to hear about that and any embodied carbon, efforts that you're looking at too. So just like we want to know the order of events for your project, we want to know who is doing the work. And so we really are trying to make sure that you've got the right people on the team doing the work, and in particular focus on the consultants and contractors that you're hiring. So we want to make sure that they understand the realities and the special needs potentially of your site, and how those things are together. We understand that you have internal probably controls for selecting contractors. We just want to make sure, understanding the technical, once we read your technical project design, that the folks that you've hired are the right ones to do it. We know the capacity, everyone is over a capacity at the moment. And so we also want to know that you have internal capacity to oversee this project and carry it out. We really want to know about your cross-department collaboration. Like Sarah said, none of this work should just be in facilities. This should be encompassing your development team, your executives, your CFO, et cetera. This touches so many pieces of every organization, and we want to make sure you're talking to those people and that they have a voice in this work. So we're going to ask you to fill out a form, again, as part of that application workbook. We're asking that you please don't list more than 20 members. In particular, we're really interested in those external contractors and companies that you've hired, which we will ask you to upload like a CV for any of those consultants, or the qualifications of a firm that you've chosen. So this, we're looking again, scale this to the complexity of your project. And if there's additional, folks that you need to include in this list that you think are important, please let us know. So this moves us on to one of the most important parts of this application, which is the budget. And this is really for us to see that there's sufficient funding being requested for the work. We again want to make sure the budget is commensurate to the scale and that it aligns with the project design. So, if you say that you're buying solar panels, we want to make sure that you are actually purchasing said solar panels in the budget. We want to make sure that the funding is making an impact, right? And that, again, it's scaled to the work that you're having done. We also have a variety of eligible and ineligible expenses, which you can learn more about in the eligibility guidelines. We will be making sure that only eligible expenses are are in as a qualified expense. And a few just to let you know about are that an FCI expense cannot be attributed to overhead, administrative cost, or an indirect cost. And for implementation folks, we do new this year, you're able to allocate contingency funding, but it can exceed no more than 10% of your requested total for FCI funds. And like last year, you can request communication funding no more than 2% of the request total. So we'll have you fill out this summary budget. The summary budget is part of the application workbook and is a simple spreadsheet. We are asking for you to list the Frankenthaler income that you're requesting, as well as your additional project funds. A match is not required for any of these grants, but if you have, if the total for your project exceeds the limit for the grant category, we'd like to know, where, if you've secured those funds, they're coming from. So that's internal funding. That could be another foundation or another donor. That could be, maybe there's a capital reserve, et cetera. So we do, understand that your total for the overall work could exceed that grant category's cap. The second part of the budget is the narrative. And what I can say is if you can just show us your math, we want to make sure that it's clear that the numbers that you have in the summary, we want to know how you got to them. So we want to see that math and we need it to be clear. We need it to line up. If you put all funding just like on one line, we need to understand how you got that. And it's really helpful, with the categories that we've provided to break it out. And we need to think about from our side if they're reasonable, justified, and we need backup. So if you have those cost estimates from your consultants and contractors, we want to see those. And there's a place that you can upload those cost estimates. The communications outreach and publicity section just has a few questions about us understanding, how you will be communicating internally and externally about these efforts. So there's first is a quote, that we're asking from your organizational leadership. We are hoping that they're aware of this project, and by providing a quote of its impact, that can help that cross department communication, and that there'll be, reasonable internal and external communication effort from your organization on this work and your project. The final section, section 12, is kind of where everything comes together. And so this is where you'll upload your application workbook. There are check marks throughout the entire application for you to try to hold yourself accountable to completing each of those forms that's in the workbook. This is also where you can upload any additional documentation that you think will help the reviewers understand the importance of to your of your project. And this is also where we're asking you to upload images. And so you can upload up to 7 images, but we have 3 that we're asking that are required. So the first is one of your institution. You're just, usually the one that's on your website. One is about the space that's impacted by the project. And one is an additional image, that really could demonstrate, the impact to the proposed audience. Maybe it's a rendering. A great place to look is on the FCI website. We have previous grantee stories, and this is where we would be using these images. So we're also asking you for captions and credits and using high resolution images that are able to be, on display on a public website. So Yucca Valley Material Lab provides some great images for us that are on the website. The top one is of their site. The bottom left one is a rendering of their new building. And the right is of a workshop that is being done at their site, really showing their audience and work done. So we know again that this was a lot of information. We are again going to be posting and sharing this information. But we're going to take some time right now to hear from 2 organizations. Wasaic Project in New York. They received a 2023 scoping grant and a 2025 implementation grant, and they're going to talk about their projects and their impact and what they're doing now. And we'll also hear from Racing Magpie in Rapid City, South Dakota. They also had a 2025 implementation grant and are going to talk about that work. So I'm going to hand it over to Jeff and Bridget. I'm just going to, let's see, ask you both if you can start your video and let's see here. There we go. Perfect. Hi, Bridget. You all set?
Hello. Okay, so as you can see, that's our mission is up there. But I just wanted to talk a little bit quickly about us. We're located in Passaic, New York, in Dutchess County. We support emerging artists, and we engage with our local community and larger community through residencies, exhibitions, other public programs, and also arts education, most of which is free. Our audience consists of local residents, weekenders from NYC, and then we also attract quite a few tourists. So it's exciting. We're located right in the heart of our little town, and our main building is in this image. It's a 100-story tall wooden grain elevator. We also have a massive old auction barn. We have a chapel. We have 3 residency houses. And then we have a new studio sort of house that'll be wheelchair accessible coming online soon. I think the other thing I wanted to say is that we are in the measured comprehensive action stage, where climate action is integrated organization wide in a comprehensive manner, and our impact is measured. Okay, slide 2. So there's 2 identified problems called out here that we were working to solve. So one is the mitigation of the dramatic increase in humidity in our buildings due to climate change. This has been a huge source of challenge for us, whether it be flooding or mold or comfort. It has been something that we've been working very hard to address. The other is ensuring safe and accessible egress. So occupying buildings that are being adaptively reused is not always the easiest in order to try and be the best steward of that building from a historical perspective, and then also ensure that the people that come to occupy that space are safe. And so we are working hard to think about both of those things. The other thing is that we are working hard to be carbon neutral by 2040. So again, in buildings that are being adaptively reused, we have to be very creative about how to get this done. We want to support the character of them, but we also want to ensure that we're good stewards for the climate, and also we're doing things sustainably for ourselves. I think there we go. The next slide. Lot of text here. But I guess the thing that's really important for us to say here is that we've now been a recipient of 2 grants. The first one was really a scoping grant, and through that we developed a comprehensive energy audit and a decarbonization roadmap. And we've really utilized that over and over and over again, not only to get this larger implementation grant from Frankenthaler, but we've also gotten 2 NISCA capital grants, one for geothermal and other HVAC upgrades in the residency houses. So I guess we've done, 2 of those. Misspoke there. And then we also have the first year of a multi-year general operating grant based on a lot of that information from the Foundations for Community Health. So that process of planning and reviewing has been absolutely instrumental for us and helpful for us to get everyone organization-wide on page, and to really think critically about how we're going to operate, not, as you said earlier, not just in a facilities space, but organization-wide. And that's been really exciting. For us, what's next is really continuing to follow this roadmap. It's been essential, and it continues to be, to help us phase in more solutions campus-wide. We're excited to try and offset all of our energy through solar in the future. That's obviously a much bigger project, but that's one of the things moving forward. And slide 4 is some Probably not the most exciting images in the whole world coming from an organization that's focused on aesthetics, but these are important. We have our new fire escape, which gives us the right amount of egress now, which we were missing. We also have we have some crash bars and new energy efficient doors, which are really important. We also have portions of our building that are not conditioned, yet we still program year round, and creating safe ways to access them, also ways to see them and understand wayfinding the building's been huge. We've gone through and we've filled in tons of little cracks and worked to chase down those air leaks all over the building. Not something that's normally that exciting to fund or do, but it really makes a big difference. And then we've totally gotten fossil fuels out of our main grain elevator, which is enormously exciting. And we have an extraordinarily efficient new heat pump system that helps us manage some of the moisture as well. So truly, thank you for helping us do all this and pushing us to ask all these questions. We've learned an enormous amount through this process, and we're incredibly grateful for the support that we've received.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff and Bridget, for sharing your story. We really appreciate it, and we're excited to continue with your journey as you move forward.
Thank you.
So, Peter and Mary, we've got you up to talk about Racing Magpie.
Hi, thank you. I'm Mary Bordeaux, co-founder, co-director of Racing Magpie. And do you want to introduce yourself, Peter?
Yeah, just to introduce myself, I'm Peter Strong. I'm also co-founder and co-director here at Racing Magpie.
And Racing Magpie was founded in 2015. Funny, we started in a grain building as well. When we rented an old it's called AB's Feed and Seed. But we in 2021 we were able to purchase the two buildings you see in the photo there, and we've renovated the white building with the deck. But Racing Magpie is a Lakota-centric creative space, and we're located in Mini Luzahan in the Oceti-Sakowin territories, which is Rapid City, South Dakota. And we are home for Native artists and creatives and community members, and a space for making, gathering, healing, and building relationships. And our work is guided by the Lakota principle of being a good relative. And we center this responsibility in everything that we do. And so we have a Native art gallery, 4 artist studios, and a community space in the white building there. And we are so the work that we do, like I said, is based around being a good relative. And we started some climate action work with the Tiger Foundation, and the Root Collective helped us to develop a climate action plan. And part of that was to develop this or to produce this value statement, and that we're committed to growing and maintaining our relationship to the land and our community, and our human and non-human relatives through all the work that we do. And so climate is considered in everything that we do. So when we were renovating, when we produce exhibitions, we think about climate and all of that. Just think about the land. So all that we do is guided by 5 principles. And they're all intertwined with our core values of respect, reciprocity, and collectivity. And so the principles are being a good relative, thinking of the past, present, and future, maintaining a good relationship with the land, and enabling action by allowing space for others to approach solutions in ways that feel right to them, and then create space for feedback. And the photos we have here is the kind of backside of the building with the big mural, and that's where Frankenthaler, the grant, has helped us. And our community garden that we have, and then a shaded area between the 2 buildings. Some carrots that we've grown in the garden, and we give those out to the community. And then some artwork in a current exhibition, and then some workshops that we've held, creative activities.
As Mary said, we've really been focusing our efforts both in climate action in the community, but also on the renovation of the second building that we're launching into. And we've actually received two Catalyst grants from Frankenthaler. The first is the installation of solar panels to start to minimize our reliance on the grid and build our use of renewable energy. So we were able to install solar panels that take our that just had incredible impact on our electric usage. It dropped our usage in 69% by 69% in the first year. You see those in the bottom two pictures as they're being installed and what they look like. And then just recently, we actually in the late summer of last year, we were able to replace our highly inefficient and probably 60-year-old storefront there that was all single pane and very leaky. We were able to replace it with a beautiful double pane storefront there. And that's been in there just a few months, so we're still measuring the impact of that. But these were very important pieces of this renovation of this space.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Great.
much.
Thank you both for the time. We really appreciate it. All right, everyone. Well, we are just at the end of our presentation. I just want to remind everyone that all of the grant cycle resources are on the Frankenthaler Climate Initiative website. And time-wise, again, we have our two milestone deadlines. One is the drafts that are due Friday, February 27th, and then our full applications that are due in March. So I'm going to stop sharing and we are going to answer some questions. As always, if do not get your question answered, if you have further questions after this, please, reach out to us. We are happy to answer any questions. All right, so I'm going to go into our Q&A. And let's see. One question that we do have here is about recommended, suppliers, consultants, etc. We are happy to share, the names of consultants and others that have worked on other projects and others that we know that are maybe in your locality. So, please reach out to us. We're happy to suggest, make some suggestions. The question about the deadlines, yes, the deadlines are similar year to year. We have this year tried to give everyone as much time as possible, and award will occur in May, June. If you submit a draft, we are hoping to have like up to 3 business day turnaround for your draft where it'll be rolling. So once you submit it, we're going to try to assign it, review it, and get that feedback back to you as soon as possible. So right now for the draft, all of the questions are going to be part of that draft that you submit, but you do not have to answer all of them. So if if you just really want feedback on like the technical section or, something else, feel free to just put a placeholder in some of those other fields. And then when you get it back, you'll be able to, just write over what, you had put in there. So there's no, penalty for, putting in some placeholder language or just, adding, a couple words in there just so that you're able to submit it to be a draft. Let's see. So there's a question about developing a mobile infrastructure for a newly developing organization. I think we are definitely open to, we've had some mobile structures before, mobile exhibit structure by Not an Alternative that the Frankenthaler Climate Initiative has supported. However, for the Upwell Art Lab folks who submitted the question, why don't we follow up with you just so we can learn more about what you're looking at and see if it really fully falls into the eligibility span. But I think so. It sounds like it. We definitely support some of those temporary buildings or biennial, event as well. For those that are repeat applicants, yes. So if you've submitted a scoping grant for like a geothermal feasibility study, you are welcome to submit. You could do technical assistance for solar feasibility study, or you could do catalyst if it's, eligible implementation. So you're able to, do a different grant category and different project. That's completely fine. Do this live. Let's see. So for Catalyst, you can treat this as like a smaller implementation grant. We do, if you just need like a couple solar panels, you can apply for Catalyst if you're eligible, if you're an organization with an annual operating budget of $500,000 or less. That's for Catalyst grantees only. You could use that, to install solar panels. If it's, part of a much bigger project, like it's a $5 million project and this is just 25 or $20,000, we would want you to actually apply for implementation, just for the, scale of project to the grant category. So the earliest start date for the projects is June 1st. So projects must begin June 1st to August 31st this year. So for some of you that might be, you're just having a kickoff meeting, or maybe, you're starting to work with others in your organization, to provide, something else, but that's what the start date is for all of the grant types. Let's see here. For can projects explore a phased approach from fossil fuel use at implementation with infrastructure? Whoop. I think someone might have just answered that. Hold on one second. Um, How does an organization show energy savings for an implementation grant submission when there's no energy use at the moment? If it's shovel ready and you're like building, perhaps the project is a shovel ready microgrid project for an outdoor gallery, a sculpture garden. So if you're building a new building, or there's no energy use, we want there to be some sort of like design build estimate. So usually if you're building a new building, that's something that, once the project is online, this is what the estimated amount of energy would be. And you're using these types of energy saving measures. So this is, what it is versus if you didn't use them. And if there's no energy use, because that there is that outdoor, then you can reach out to us and we can see if there's additional information like that we would want from you to submit the application. But I think that you would be fine, just saying there's no energy use. It would just be zeros at this point. For project completion, all of the different grant categories have different end dates. So Catalyst projects need to be completed by the end of this calendar year. They must end December 31st, 2026. Scoping and technical assistance grants must be completed by December 31st, 2027. And implementation grants must be completed by December 31st, 2028. No, you do not need to own your building to be eligible. We understand that, what you're able to do, in a space that you might be leasing or renting might be different than if you owned it. So, when you are writing your kind of explanation of like what you're doing, your technical project design and the decisions you've made, you'll definitely want to talk about that and that, maybe you've talked to the owner or it's a co-op or, you're just trying to do what you're able to within your power, that's completely fine and you're absolutely eligible. Um, so any questions or if you need recommendations for folks to reach out to for contractors, please just contact our FCI team. Our email is info at Frankenthaler Climate Initiative.org. That contact info is on our website. All of our team contacts, uses this email address, and that's the main way to reach our team. Okay, if you're doing a retro commission and you have some ECMs and EMs during the study, so if you're kind of on the edge of there's some technical assistance and implementation. We really want you to be able to choose one, but we know sometimes it is a little bit of a gray area. Why don't you reach out to us and let us know what you're thinking of doing? Because it might just make sense to apply for implementation, but it also might make more sense to just apply for technical assistance. So, for the person who's sent that question, and we suggest that you reach out to us.
Stephanie, I might add that that could depend on the
Yes,
scope of it. If it's really large, then it might be more on the implementation side.
thank you. EV charging stations and transportation are not eligible projects. Again, all of the dates for our grant categories and eligible projects are on the website as well as in the first information section. There's a question about energy data. If you're off the grid already, that's great. I think our team is going to need to review kind of the description that you've given of your project. Um, and so I would say if you can reach out to our team so we can, learn more about your project and what you're looking to do, that would be helpful. Yes, the recording of this webinar, the transcription, and the slides are all going to be posted on the website. We're planning to get them up tomorrow. If not tomorrow, they'll be up on Monday. Are you more likely to receive an implementation grant if you've previously received a scoping grant? While we encourage you to go through like the Frankenthaler, steps, if you go scoping, technical assistance, implementation, it does not guarantee that you will receive an implementation grant. So there's not additional weighting for, going through the steps. Of course, we love to see it, but we still use that same evaluation criteria that Al referenced and is on the website for reviewing every application.
And I would say that one of the interesting things about that question is it sort of implies, do you know what you're doing, right? If you've done the scoping, then you should have a pretty clear criteria going into implementation. And you can just go for implementation and show us that you know what you're doing, and that's fine. But we want that clarity.
Yes. And someone asked a great question. If you have a project that begins before June 1st, can it be reimbursed? Ineligible, all reimbursements are ineligible. So we would only be able to fund, parts of that project that have not been expensed yet. The number of grants that we receive, let's see, that we award per year, it varies across grant category. But we've previously, I think in the last year, we funded, I want to say maybe 70 last year, and kind of have hovered, around there for the years before that. And I know we're just at the top of the hour. I will answer these two additional questions. And thank you all for joining. Again, we'll get this content up for you on the website. Please reach out to us at info@frankenthalerclimateinitiative.org to contact our team if you have any questions. Oh, thank you, Danielle. So the question I had started to answer before was, can projects explore a phased approach from fossil fuel use at implementation with infrastructure and an institutional O&M plan to go to all renewable energy? Yes, I believe the answer to that would be yes, that if you don't have to do everything all at once. So if you're just starting, implementing even like a full energy master plan or building master plan, where we wouldn't be expecting you to do all of it at once. So if you need, if you're starting somewhere, you're starting somewhere, and we want to be able to support that. Okay, well, thank you again, everyone, for joining. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, and we will speak to you all soon. Thank you all for your time.